Hello Star Wars Unlimited fans, this is Sith Lords and Decks and it's a first video on this channel. Today we are presenting a Kylo Ren ECL. So, it's a very fun deck to play, not really competitive because it very depends on a draw on the cards you drew. But it's very fun to play on locals. I myself played it on Sunday and I won my local tournament. So I hope you enjoy and let's see what this deck have to offer. So um, we have Force Lightning, 2 copies of that card. I feel like this card does not have a great representative in today's meta. Like nobody plays it and it can really cut off by surprise. It can really cut off guard the opponent because what it do, it disables all the abilities of our opponents and it's just very good card for the decks that have cards that rely on the text on it, like for example K2SO. It's basically for free resources. You can kill K2SO and don't get the damage into your base, don't get the discard. It just turns K2SO into blank 4/4 card. It's very cool also against super late attacks. You can basically disable the opponent's ramp, disrupt their curve, and you can like trigger it very easily because of the many force unit you have in this deck. Next up, we got 3 copies of Force Throw. It's just very cheap removal because you always want to have a force unit on the table. It's very easy in this deck because you have Kylo Ren, because you have Fifth Brothers, and basically all your top end is have a force unit trait. So yeah, you can also don't be afraid to use it on yourself. I will talk about it later. And next we have 1 copy of Timely Intervention. It's a good card just to have in resources, just to, I don't know, ambush something out when you, for example, use your ECL already, or maybe ambush the Emperor. And if you run out of ECL and Timely Intervention, we have 2 copies of Admiral Piet. It's a basically you don't really have to use his ability because our top end like Vaders and Mauls have ambush from themselves, but you want to use it as a first turn play just because it has 1 for body and you can just pump it up with Kylo and remove the threat, the opponent unit, without being taken out by the opponent unit because you have 4 health and it's very big. Next up we got 2 Kylo Silencer. You can play free. I would advise you to play free if you have, but I build decks that I can do and I don't have free Kylo Silencer. That's why I threw in a Mercenary Gunship, 1 copy. It basically do the same thing, but you have to be careful because the opponent can capture. No, don't capture. It can be played by the opponent for 4 resources. You can just switch sides. Next up, we got Poggle. It's pretty same with Piet. The only reason I have 1 more copy of it because it has better ability. You can swarm battle droid tokens, which can help in like if you want to get 1 damage through and you don't want to really sacrifice any of your units. It's just very good card. Next up, we got Fifth Brother, 3 copies of this. I don't really like this guy, but the only reason why he is in this deck is because it has Force Trade, and this deck really relies on the cards that have Force Trade because we have like Force Throw, Force Lightning, Fallen Lightsaber. You don't really want to put the Fallen Lightsaber on the fifth brother because it's not a like leader unit. It can be very easy removed from the battlefield. But if, for example, you play against aggro and somehow they took out Kylo Ren, and you can play it for sure. They will likely not have an answer to a 5/7 body that can buff themselves up. Next up is Fallen Lightsaber, 2 copies. You mainly want to play that on Kylo and just get some damage through, because Kylo on flip side usually have like 1 or 2 attack. It's very weak, and you want to buff it up and also help it survive more because of the +3 health. Next up, we got a little bit of ramp, super laser technician. Not much to tell about this guy. He's just 1/2 for free resources, but it has just one of the best when defeated triggers in the game. Next up, 1 copy of Cobb Vanth. It's a very unusual card to play in Kylo Ren, but I like it mainly because we have so much 2-drops. Like we have Piets, Kylo TIE Silencers, Poggles. You really want to pull something off with this Cobb Vanth discard. Next up, we got resupplies, just a little bit more ramp, open fire to get rid of annoying units. 1 copy of Imperial Interceptor, just for like control in space. Maybe you can draw it like playing on Sabine. You can take out Red 3. It's a very good card for 4 resources, and it's one of the best space units in the red villainy color. Next up, 3 copies of the OP Barrage, Overwhelming Barrage. It's very hated in my local community because it's very good. You can throw it on basically anything in this deck and just deal 5 damage, because most of units in this deck have free attack, and also you can like buff it with Kylo and then throw Overwhelming Barrage, since buff doesn't cost you any resources. Then suddenly you hit for 7, and that's pretty big, pretty scary. Next up we have IG-11. That's very good card to ECL out. You really want to have that ECL'd. But we will talk about the ECL later. Ruthless Raider. It's also one of the best red villainy space cards. I run 3 copies, but you can run 2. But I just very like it. This card, it's just guaranteed 4 damage into the base and 4 damage divided by 2 among enemy units. Palpatine Return. This is the main reason why we want to play Kylo Green, because it just allows you to cheat out your big force units to play them for less resources, less mana, and cut opponent off guard. Next up, we run 2 copies of Vader. I would recommend you to run 3, but as with Kylo's TIE Silencer, I don't have 3 copies. I just run 2 because that's all I have. You can throw out 1 copy of Ruthless, or maybe 1 copy of this Imperial Interceptor, put it in a side board, and then go ahead and put 3 Vaders in main. But I just don't have 1 more. Then we have Maul. Maul is a very good finisher. It takes out units, deals damage to the base. It's just very good force units. Then we got 3 copies of Emperor Palpatine. It's one of my favorite, no, it is my favorite card in a red villainy color. It has immediate impact on a game when you play this. When played, deal 6 damage divided as you want among the enemy units. It's great for taking out Fed Fire Spray, Ruthless Raiders, those medium spaceships, and also great when you like play against swarms, against aggro decks. You can play it, you can discard it, buff units, play it by Palpatine's Return, and you basically play this unit on the 5th turn. It has massive impact on a game, and it can just really disrupt your opponent. So, in sideboard, we want to run 2 copies of Daring Raid, mainly because there is a meta right now. Well, when there's a lot of Django Fett players, and it's just a very good card to remove those annoying space units that have 2 health and 3 attack. Force Chokes, also good against like Han yellow decks. You want to like, you will also have force unit on a battlefield, and you want to like choke the DJs, the um, liberated slaves, Cassian Andor. It's just 5 damage for 1 resource. That's very good value. One more copy of Imperial Interceptor. Again, it's very good against space decks. Pillage more for like control, because Kylo Ren's worst matchup is like control. You don't want to really play against it. You instantly lose. And that's why I bring you those 5 cards in sideboard, which is Pillage and Forced Surrender, to just help some discard opponent unit, disrupt their calculations and like stuff. It's very good card. It's been showed by playing it in most competitive decks, which is Anakin Blues. And last, we have Forced Surrender. This is a very new card to me. So basically, you pay 6 resources. If you don't have Palpatine's Return, you are most likely to play this card. You pay 6, you draw 2 cards, and each opponent, which would be your opponent, if you damaged his base this round, which is not hard with this deck, they discard 2 cards. So it really can kill the math. You want to it can kill the math by your opponents. You can like discard them and draw yourself, and then yeah, you can discard those cards that you drew by Kylo to buff your units. You can force throw to deal some damage. But yeah, so now let's talk about the main reason why would you choose the red green villainy deck. That's Kylo Ren. So this is called One Trick Pony because it has just one trick that repeats over and over again in all the games. So you want to have a 1/4 body on or maybe Kylo Silencer on a board. You can discard a card, buff it up to 5/2 or 3/4. You usually want to discard something like Vader, Maul, or Emperor Palpatine. Do not discard other units because it can be really destructive for you if you don't have Palpatine's Return, and also it can really disrupt your drawing. You can have 1 card in hand, and that's not very good. So yeah, you buffed it up, and then you ramp a bit, and then you play Palpatine's Return to return it from discard pile by paying more resources. So that's very cool. Next, we can talk about base, which energy conversion lab. Why we run it? Because most of the green-red villainy decks are very slow, and we want to catch up by ECLing those IGs, those Ruthless Raiders. And IG ECL is a very powerful ECL because it can, in current meta, you can take out the Han Solo with it and then just deal little damage to something like DJ if you have it damaged. So what I usually do is I play a 1/4 body in the first round. In the second, I play Super Laser Tech, buff that 1/4 to trade or to kill a unit and still live. Then in the second turn, I want to let's say they played Cassian Under. You want to kill your Super Laser Tech, deal 2 damage, and then have 5 resources, ECL IG, and kill 2 units. So that's a very good value. And Ruthless later, it's also a good target to ECL out. You can like kill Avengers even when ECL'd. So that's pretty good trade. Lastly, we got some combos that you want to have. So the first combo I want to talk is Kylo Ren with Fallen Lightsaber. Basically, if you attack into base, you deal 1 damage to each ground unit that opponent controls. And then just the next turn, you want to ECL IG, kill something, and then deal damage to already damaged unit because of the Fallen Lightsaber. It's the same interaction with Fifth Brother. You want to use his ability on attack. You can even attack bases with deal yourself a damage, then deal an opponent the damage. And yeah, because IG's ability is when you may deal 3 damage to a damaged ground unit on attack. So you really want to have damaged enemy unit on the ground when you play IG. And my favorite combo is having a force unit and discarding a big force unit to deal some massive damage. I was on Sunday, I was playing the final. My opponent dropped Luke down, and then I just force throw a Vader, which then I bring back with Palpatine's return. So I kill the Luke, and I bring Vader, which triggers ability. I played Fifth Brother, then I ambush something, and I basically just won a game by doing this. So yeah, that's a very good combo. One of my favorites. Yeah. Okay, so that will be it. That's all the deck I wanted to present you. That's really off meta and really fun deck to play. If you like this video, you can like it and subscribe. And then I will see you next week with another crazy deck.